What's up, y'all? My name is Owolalewa Mulani. I'm the national organizer for the Roses Initiative, a program that's all about uplifting Black, Indigenous, non-white, trans youth, and femmes out here making waves. First off, thank you for tuning in. It means a lot. For those who don't know, the Rose Initiative is about building sisterhood, empowering our community, and fighting for justice everywhere and every single day. Now, we're here for the topic of Transgender Day of Remembrance, or also known as TDOR, starting back in 1999 to honor the lives of our trans siblings, especially those who are Black and brown of trans women experience, whose lives have been taken due to violence. This day is about remembering, right? Yes, but also about the resilience and standing up for each other in a world that tries to erase us. Right? So stick with us as we hold space for our fallen and continue to fight for the ones who are living with us today. Ones we can still see, the ones that we can still share space with. And I want to say much love to those, and let's get into it. I would love to introduce the lovely Irvia Stone for joining me today in this conversation about love and how we can use it as a tool for liberation. Want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, y'all. My name is Irvia Stone. I'm a creative, a model here in Chicago. I'm non-binary, so I go by they, them pronouns. A little bit by myself. Like I said earlier, I am a model here in Chicago. I moved here 2 years ago today with the one and only. So it's a little 2-year anniversary today. But the reason why I moved here to Chicago was so that
it is our 2-year anniversary.
It is our 2-year anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We've been here exactly 2 years.
2 years.
To this day.
2022,
I think
November
at this
1st.
To this time, noon.
What time is it?
I think it's noon. I think we got here
we
noon.
left at midnight. So.
Oh, wow.
I'm originally from Seattle. But yeah, I moved here so I could get into the fashion world. Obviously, it's what I'm doing right now. But I wanted to use my platform and my creative skills in order to uplift silent voices and shine a light on the unseen bodies of the world. So I'm very happy to be here today. This means a lot to me. I'm glad we can talk about 2 different trans experiences and just uplifting all the trans folks that came before us and are here currently with us today.
You ate that intro, baby. I love this for us. So we're first going to get into defining love as a tool for liberation. How do you define love, especially in the context of liberation?
Okay, well, give me a moment because I want to make sure everyone gets this because some people get confused what love is.
Okay, let's talk about it.
And so love in the context of liberation is a profound, transformative, and transcending force of energy, empowering individuals empowering individuals to become their truest self. For me personally, the purest form of love is being able to explore, experience, and express freedom of self within and share that with others. And that can look like a business, that can be familial, and familial doesn't mean blood. That can be chosen family. It can be platonic, it can be romantic. Love has no one section. You can't put love in a box. It's about understanding, it's about acceptance, it's about, doing all those things without the fear of being prosecuted or judged or oppressed, Liberated love breaks away from societal constraints. Existing as who you are is resistance. Love is about, liberated love is about fostering communities where we can have those mutual respect for each other and create genuine, authentic relationships so that everyone feels free and so that everyone can feel the freedom, the desire, and have the capability to go ahead and chase after their freedom and happiness.
I love that. Thank you. Yes, for me, love is freedom. It's about building each other up and creating space where there is no space. Oftentimes, we're often creating space where we can just live up and show up and be ourselves, and we can be real, right? Where we can be seen and accepted in our full, authentic selves, flaws and all.
Flaws and all.
true acceptance, like being able to come in here and like bring my full self. Because a lot of times when spaces are not explicitly there we go, created for us, like we're often coming in half of ourselves. We're often dumbing ourselves down. We're having to like minimize how we're showing up, right? Love is it's not all about feelings. It's about what we do for each other. It's making sure that we got each other's backs and that like we're really showing up and making sure our people are good. Like people that we love, people that are part of our community, even like our extended community. Because sometimes it doesn't like only fall into like familial ties or relatives or like even like friends. Like there's people that I consider part of my community that like we're not necessarily close, but like we're in this fight together. Like we're meeting each other in areas and liberation, and then just this act of defiance, right? We talk about liberation. Love is what keeps us going.
Like you can't do nothing in this world without love, y'all.
It's activation, y'all. It's the thing that gives us the strength to fight and imagine something better for ourselves. You know, a lot of times, like when we talk about love and like it being active liberation, we have to talk about how love is the foreground and the starting point for a lot of these civil rights movements, like civil rights movement. Like none of us is fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for our children, so our children can have a better life.
Exactly.
So our nieces and nephews can have a better life. This is generational. You know, what we fight for today, our children will be able to reap in the later years to come. You know, I always talk about how like today, like we're our ancestors' wildest dreams, because a lot of times like they were fighting for our right to like be in spaces openly, out loud, and like just show up and like have the jobs that we have, be able to like make a decent wage, which is still not where it needs to be, obviously, for societal.
Shout out the economy.
Shout out to, you know, that's capitalism, right? For you, right? So like gives us strength to fight and imagine something better for ourselves and our siblings and our families and our loved ones. Now, Bell Hooks defines love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. That's deep. Right? We're not talking about monetary gain. We're not talking about just like the acts of feeling. We're talking about spiritual, internal, like uplifting someone's soul, uplifting someone's spirit so they can grow expeditiously, so they can grow like self-worth. So
it's beyond the physical.
It's beyond the physical. And I think she's saying love is an action. Like a lot of times we use love as a noun of like, oh, so this is a feeling, something we feel, something that fleets, something that comes through and does all these things. But when we're using love as a verb, as an action word, we take ownership of it, right? We take ownership of how we have to do it. Like it's action. So we actively have to choose every day to show up for somebody. We actually have to choose every day to like choose somebody. And I think that's why I like chosen families so much, and I appreciate and I always uplift them because I'm actually choosing every day to be in relation to you. Like I don't have to be here. Like we're not related by blood, and so
Clock it.
I said we're not related by blood. Like I don't have to be here. So like it's not like there's not like that type of need or sense of obligation that you have with relatives. And so I think when we talk about it being a love and like an action and like a choice, we make every day to show up for each other and help each other grow. In our fight for liberation, that's the will to nurture each other. That's the will that we need to nurture ourselves and to keep each other uplifted and truly powerful. And so like, in what ways have you seen love empower or liberate our siblings in the struggle?
Well, in order to, to make sure people really hear me, I'm going to start off with what I've seen the lack of love do, okay? I've seen the lack of love create chaos. Corrupt governments with, greedy politicians who don't care about the citizens who are putting money in their pockets, okay? I've seen the lack of love destroy Mama Gaia, destroy our fauna and flora, just poison the air and water that we need, I've seen the lack of love enslave people for the selfishness of others, right? The presence of love is resistance.
Yes, it is.
It's reasons, like I said, it's so much deeper than the physical because it comes within. You have to have it within you. Love is what got Native Americans to pick up their weapons and fight against the colonizers, despite the fact that they had advanced weapons. They loved their land and they respected Earth so much that they said, it's worth fighting. It's worth my life. Because just as Mother Nature gives us life, we give it back. Love is, love is what got our ancestors to break their shackles and march to freedom.
Come on, talk about it.
Love is what got us here today by loving ourselves. Despite what society may want for us or say that we need to be this or that, we love ourselves enough to be like, I don't got to do what you say. I love myself enough to succeed and transcend whatever concept or idea you have for me because that don't fit me. You can't put me in a box. Like I said earlier, love, you can't put in a box.
You sure can't.
And so love is able to, it creates things for everybody. And so when talking about, my sisters and my siblings, I've seen how much it has helped us get to where we need to get to. Because love you can't do anything in this world without love. You really can't. And it's just, it's just a beautiful thing. Like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love myself enough. There's been moments where I was like, I don't think I can do this no more. But I said, you know what? The love I have for myself and the love I have for others, because I wouldn't want them to suffer as much as I have, I am going to choose to be the best version of myself. And I'm glad and thankful I have good family and good friends like this one right here who encourage me to love myself even more. So that.
I got you, friend. In thinking about love as a liberating force, how do we carry that into our relationships, not just with ourselves, but with each other? What does it mean to be a comrade? And what does it mean to be a comrade to our siblings, to our sisters in this fight for liberation, not just from gender oppression or just all these other isms, but from all systems of harm, outside of our identities, of gender, right? There's so many other isms that plague us to this day. So we're fighting so many things, We're to be intersectional, you're fighting so many different intersections of oppression, so many intersections of systematic, barriers that we're fighting. So, how do we show up for them? What does it mean to be a comrade and, to show up side by side for each other?
Well, first of all, if I love you, and I say I love you, if you're hurting, I'm hurting. That's just what it is. Someone who says they love you, someone who says they're going to be there, they wouldn't allow you to go through suffering knowing that that's what you're doing and be okay with it.
Yes.
Love isn't, like I said earlier, love is about acceptance, understanding, and showing up. It's an action. It's a passion, it's a desire, and it comes within. Love isn't tolerance. And some people forget that. And some people get stuck in situations, whether it's a job, whether it's in toxic family, whether it's in toxic friendships. They tolerate the behavior they're receiving and say, oh, because I love them.
Yeah.
Do they love you? And so, I've seen in community, love brings community together because we have the same desires, we have the same passion, despite the different backgrounds. We come together because we want better for each other. And like you said, it's generational. Our ancestors didn't go what they went through just for us to be stuck, just for us not to love ourselves. Like I said, our ancestors broke their shackles.
Broken.
So why are we going to say mentally shackled? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think that sometimes is what holds us back, is that even though we are not physically bounded, we are mentally.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people are navigating through so much hurt and generational curses and generational trauma. That stuff lives ingrainedly within our bones. And I think to be a sister and a comrade in this fight, it means to be available. It means to be present for all of it, even things are heavy. Toni Morrison once said, love is divinely only and difficult always. It's divine, but also difficult, always. That's honest. When it comes to sisterhood, it's not about the glitz and glam, or it's not always easy. And we know that, right? When we're actively in family dynamics, we come against opposition. We have different opinions. Like we're not all the same, right? And so even though some of us may have the same upbringing, you know, we still have different thoughts between upbringings. And then when you think about us, some people not having the same upbringing, how different your thoughts could be. You know, common sense is not always common sense to everybody because of who we were raised with, you know, and that really takes effect. And I think when we talk about like how love is not always easy, but it's necessary. It's very necessary to live a fruitful, impactful life, you know, where we feel nourished and taken care of. Are you looking for your water?
It's right there. Oh, okay. I was struggling. I was like, I guess I don't drink no water today.
I was like, no, you got it. So when we share a bond that's been forged in struggle, that is ingrainedly within us. Like, we're in it together forever.
Forever.
Like, you know, like when we fight for each other, you know, we're not only fighting for like ourselves, like we're fighting for the community that we are. Like, I'm not fighting for you only. I'm fighting for your family also. You know, it doesn't stop. Like everything we do has an impact. You know, so like communally, like if we're actively being community, we can't always talk about ourselves. It's not like it's not a singular thing.
It's not me.
It can't
It's
be.
us and we.
Like no impactful movement has had one singular person at it and like done the work. Like there might be like a leader because we need leaders.
But you need followers.
Hello.
So what you leading? You don't got people behind you.
Followers. You do. And I think our love for each other is what's going to honestly and ultimately liberate us. When we actively come together and say that like we may have our differences, but we have a goal. And we may have all had different ways about going about this goal, but we all have the same destination. Okay? And so you can have your group over there, and you can have your group over there, and y'all can go about it different ways. But there's moments where we're gonna have to come together.
Exactly.
There's gonna be moments we have to come together.
You gotta learn how to what's the word? Shoot, I don't know, I'm spacing out, but like starts with a C, I think. But connect, something like that.
I was like, connect. What you gonna do?
You know?
What you gonna do?
But like, you know, get together and brainstorm together because sometimes you may have it all together, but you're missing that one thing, and you never know who you're talking to because that person may have the thing to enlighten you or what you may need to do to get to where you need to get to faster, quicker, or whatever. You can't do anything. I want to say that you can't do anything in this world by yourself.
Hello.
You can't. You have to rely on people who love you. Because those people, like I said earlier, if you hurt, they hurt. If they succeed, they want you to succeed.
Hello. Cause what I look like, what I look like succeeding, and my best friend, somebody I love, don't have no food, don't have nowhere to stay. Who do I look like? Do I love myself? Like, I don't believe in people like genuinely showing up for somebody or it being genuine love. If you're okay and you're sleeping good at night, knowing somebody that you care about or you say you care about, it's not good. It's not being taken care of. You know, because care is only a small part of love. Like it goes into it. You know, there's different actions, there's accountability, there's authenticity, there's honesty, there's all these different things that you have to like have that goes into like actively loving somebody as an action, further than just the noun of just like, I have a feeling of love, you know? It goes deeper than that. And so I think when we love each other, love is like an act of solidarity.
Yes.
And when we show up for each other, we're already on the way to breaking those systemic change, those things that hold us down communally. Right? So how has love played a role?
It's just tune in.
Yeah, hold on, let's go. How has love played a role in forming bonds of sisterhood or just sibling rivalry or all the things in solidarity, right? With other trans women and non-binary femmes, like how has that played a role?
Personally, I've learned to find myself, love myself more because of the love I was surrounded with. I know I haven't necessarily grown up with the love that I deserve, the love that I needed. And, you know, some people feel like, oh, you know, the family you're born into that's what it's gonna be. That's the end all be all. But you know, there's a saying, you know, my family used to say this too, you know, blood is thicker than water, but baby, so is mud. And I'm not about to be dragged through the dirt. If you can't show me the love I need, I'm gonna make sure I seek it in myself and make sure others love me. And so when growing up, for me, I always hated being compared to girls because, you know, I'm feminine being, you know. And I hated being compared to other boys. They'd be like, oh, you know, you're this, you're that. Oh, you know how to be like this with a boy, or you have to be like that, you know, no crying, da da da. And then like, you know, oh, you talk like a girl, you act like a girl, oh, wait, da da da. I didn't have the education. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the grace to understand what it meant to be non-binary or what it meant to be trans. And because of that, I didn't know who I was. I couldn't find myself. So being with my sister, allowing me to find out who I am and learn to love who I am within, deep-rooted, I was able to express myself and give to my community and show up for my community the way I need to, because love is never selfish, all right? And in that way, love is selfless in the sense of I'm gonna love myself despite where I'm at, despite how you treating me. I'm gonna love myself. I need to walk out. If I need to walk out from a situation, I need to walk away from a situation. It's a Puerto Rican proverb. Don't come from my accent. Soy Puerto Rico, pero no hablo bien español, okay? But it's agua que no has de beber, déjala correr, which means basically translates to if basically you can't drink the water, let it flow. Which means if something's not serving you, something not loving you the way you need to be loved, you don't got to resent them. You don't got to hate them. Let it flow. I'm sure it'll find its way somewhere. But you got to get some, you can't drink poison. You got to feed yourself.
Poison.
You got to nurture yourself.
Some people are actively drinking poison though. I said some people are okay with drinking poison,
you know
because that's what they're used to.
And let me ask you, do they love themselves enough?
Well, listen, I feel like I give people a certain age. I'm saying a certain age.
Circumstances do play a role.
Circumstances do play a role. I give people a certain age. So like, I give people grace, right, for showing up where they're at, because we're all on our own journeys, right? And so I give people time and grace around like circumstances. Like, okay, do you have your basic needs met? Like, are you in a situation where you can like show up fully for yourself? Because sometimes we're not always in those situations. Like, we have people who detransition. We have people who do these things to make sure that they're still closer with their family. Like, those things are really important to them. So they're willing to sacrifice their well-being mentally and physically to show up for other people. Is that love? That's debatable. You know, can we love ourselves and love, like, not love ourselves and then love somebody else? I don't know. I do believe love starts from within. And I feel like the only unconditional love you can give to somebody is yourself.
Like
Unconditionally. Because I feel like a lot of people times like, oh, I can give somebody else unconditional love. I just feel as though our conditions change from person to person. And so you may not have met that condition with the person you're with. You'd be like, oh, I forgave somebody for this. I forgave somebody for that. I'm like, yeah, but those weren't your conditions, obviously. If you forgave them, those weren't your conditions. Like, those were expectations. Those were perceptions of like, okay, like, this is going to hurt me, but like, it's forgivable. Like, because obviously you forgave them. So obviously it's forgivable, right? And so we just haven't met those conditions for that person where you're like, I can't love you no more.
Sometimes you, not physically, but like sometimes emotionally and mentally, some people will wait until they're broken down before you can lift yourself up again. And sometimes you do gotta, sometimes you do gotta be broken. I know there's a, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I believe there's a some type of cultural significance in Japan where like if like some type of dish or whatever is broken, they'll get the pieces together if they can and put it back with gold. And it's supposed to be like, nothing, just because it's broken doesn't mean it can't be put back together. And now it looks even more beautiful because scars don't make you ugly.
Hello.
They remind you of the pain you went through and how you survived it.
Yes, everything that was broken can be mended. Now, the problem with people, a lot of people have, is they're expecting it to look the same when it was brand new. It's gonna look different, babe. Like the love that you have for somebody else, even though you may have forgiven them, you can't love them the same because you're never gonna forget what happened.
Growth isn't about staying stagnant, okay?
It's about going through it, learning through it. And so if we're actively learning through it, and like we're making the conscious decision to have like a sense of reformative justice, or like just being like, okay, like let's take accountability for what we've done, and I can love you through it, right? If we're loving people through these situations of like harm or just like distrust, it takes time for trust to rebuild back up, right? And so during this time, our love is going to be different. The way we show up for each other is going to be different because I'm loving you in a new way. Like the way I was loving you before was the way I was loving you because I wasn't hurt by you yet. I wasn't hurt by you yet. So my perception of you was like, oh, grand. I said, this person's great. I can never be hurt by them. They're self-hab. And then they hurt me and I'm like, oh, hold up. Okay, so you're capable of this. Oh, this is what you do. Diabolical. Like, but it's my choice to like be like, okay, whether I want to stick around. If I stick around, then I have to actively choose to show up in a different space and be okay with that.
And speaking of that, like, let's talk about how, like I said earlier, if you're hurting, I'm hurting. And some people think that, yeah, you know, I'm hurting and, you know, my friends are hurting or whatever because I'm hurting. That's great. That's da da da. But don't expect that person to stick around all the time because you're hurting. Sometimes that person, the pain that you're going through so much hurts them so much, you're pushing them away.
But because if our cup is not full and runneth over, I can't give you nothing.
If you're not listening to the love and advice I got to give you, let it flow.
You got about 2 chances to come to me about the same problem. You laughing because you know it's you. You got about 2 chances to come to me about a problem that you can fix.
It's been fixed.
As of today. As of today, it's been fixed.
It was the anniversary gift.
No, it really was. Thank you, because I was over it. So I care for you, right? And if I care for you, I want the best for you, and I do not want to actively sit with somebody in pain, actively sit somebody in hurt and discomfort, especially if it can be fixed. Like it'd be different if like you want to vent to me about somebody you love and like they hurt you. Okay, cool. I need to know what are you gonna do about it after.
And
like,
let's also talk about like if you don't feel comfortable enough talking. And I've been there. Let's not talk about it, but I've been there. Okay.
I was like, you want to get into it?
I'm open to it, but if you don't feel comfortable talking to the ones that love you based on the situation you're in, like, oh, you know, I don't want to tell them about this because they don't understand. No, because you understand what they're going to say. They're going to tell you what you don't want to hear.
A lot of times we know what we should do. We just don't want to do it. Because the easier thing to do is stay sometimes in the situation because we're afraid of what's going to change. We're afraid of what this new thing or this new situation or this new environment is going to bring us. It's unfamiliar. And so we're like, oh, I've been in this situation for like, what, a year, 2 years, 6 months. I got comfortable and I don't want to move. Listen, the way this one can be comfortable is the Taurus. So I said, there are Taurus. They can get real comfortable in a situation and it's up and stuck from there.
But trust me, when that bridge is burned, I'm going to stand in it and make sure you don't cross it. You know, because there's no coming back from that.
They stand on business when it's time.
When I gave you everything and you still showing...
They stand on business when... they're the definition of, you know... you got to be tired to be tired. You be tired. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. There you go. That's what.
I always ask people, are you tired enough? Because I ask myself, I look in the mirror, are you tired enough?
Sometimes you're not tired enough.
Sometimes I'm not, but Lord knows I'm tired.
Sometimes I be tired for you. I be sick and tired. I be like, okay. And you know, this one of the situations where I was like, if my friend can't do it, I can do it.
And you know what?
You know,
I knew you would be, and I'll be back there like... But go, Bessie. But like,
No. You know, sometimes I'm like, I have to show up for you when you can't show up for yourself. Right?
and that's real love.
That is. Sometimes I'm like, okay, so like you might be mad at me for like a little while for me doing this, but I know it was for the betterment. And I know eventually you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I needed that, and thank you for pushing me. Because sometimes we need a nudge. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we need a jump start. Like not everybody can be motivated by themselves. Some people really need that, and that's why we have people who we love, people who we confide in and tell our dreams, our desires, our wants, so they can hold us accountable.
Yes.
Like, so they can hold us accountable. So that we can, I'd be like, hey, babe, you said you want to be treated this way, and you're not. So what are you going to do about it? You say you want to go after this dream, and you're not. So what are you going to do about it, babe? Like, and when I think about how love has played a role in the way that, like, I show up in, like, forming bonds with, like, my sisters and siblings within the, like, community and culture, I often think about how my life before I transitioned. When I was like a little boy, a little gay boy or whatever, right? That's what society was viewing me as. That's what I viewed myself as because I didn't know no better. There was no language for trans at the time. Like there was no representation on TV until like 2012. There was like Laverne Cox, and that was the only person I knew about. And then 2013, I learned about T.S. Madison. I mean, like 2014, I learned about T.S. Madison. There was Vine. There was I love T.S. Madison. Shout out to her for being a pillar, for being the ones who have been coming into these Black homes and changing minds.
Giving up her home to make sure there's a home for community. That's love.
I forgot the name of the project, but T.S. Madison has definitely started the process of a nonprofit or a foundation where she has given up her other home, because she has two homes, and she has donated one of the other homes to community to start a housing situation where Black and brown, or it could be Black, I don't know for sure, but Black trans women can come and have housings, get resources, and get help, right? But when I think about how I was being perceived before, like there were systemic things that was up against me for being Black and gay, right? And being a Black gay boy at the time, right? And being seen as that and identifying as that. So, but when I started transitioning, there's a different level. There's a different level of oppression. There's a different level of systemic problems that come with being identifiable as a Black woman, let alone a Black trans woman. And then adding on to the fact that I don't practice the stereotypical religions that are acceptable in the United States. I am queer, I'm pansexual, and I identify as queer, right? All those different isms that have been impacted upon me, like racism, transphobia, misogynoir, trans misogynoir, moments of people being transmistic towards me, coining the term by Hope Giselle, Goddessy. And yeah, so like when we come to the moments like that, I was okay with accepting those terms. I was okay with being oppressed in somewhat. Like I was okay. I was like, okay, this is what I got to go through. I was like, this is the norm. I have to go through it, right? It wasn't until I started getting back into community and being in spaces with other people and creating bonds with other trans and non-binary folks and queer folks, and I saw them being mistreated, which activated my activism. You know, it's acting it, activism, right? Activated my advocacy, my want for liberation, my want to be to liberate them. Like I loved them so much, I wanted to see them liberated, right? And this goes back to Bell Hooks saying, you know, the will to want to nurture oneself of like oneself or another person's spiritual growth. Right, I wanted to see them liberated. I wanted to see them best for them. I wanted to make sure that they had things that they needed so they can thrive in this world, no matter what they wanted to do. As long as they weren't trying to hurt nobody, and wasn't nobody being hurt in the process of what they were doing. I want to see it for you. You know, you want to be a garbage man? Be the best garbage man you want to be. Work at the post office. Work at the post office, babe. Get your pension. You know, I have people who want to be correctional officers. You want to be a CEO? You want to make sure people are you know, not being as mistreated as they are in prison, then you can do that. I see it for you. Do what you want to do. I'm not here to judge. If I love you, I'm going to make sure you get there. I'm going to make sure you get the tools. If I don't have the tools or the resources, I'm gonna make sure I find somebody who got it for you, babe. You know, this is a community. This is
community.
This is an act of resistance.
Community isn't about one person. It's about that one person, make sure that the next person's good. And then it just is a domino effect.
It is.
If I succeed, you succeed.
Hello. Sisterhood and solidarity go hand in hand, and they are so powerful. But sometimes loving each other through pain and struggle isn't easy.
No.
So how do one person, or how do we love one another through pain and struggle and trauma? How do we love each other through that?
Well, you know.
And not just us, like outward community too, obviously.
Well, being born Black into this world, I'll start with that. We're already put in such a unfortunate predicament when it comes to how society treats us, where we have to look up, oh, is this place safe for us to travel, to live? How are people going to look at me? How are people going to treat me? I got to watch what I say, because I don't want any problems. That's pain. You think we want to do that? Now, putting queer, putting trans on top of that, we're talking about community. All of a sudden, community that you thought you had, it's not there no more.
Let's talk about it.
I had to learn that although I fight for my Black brothers and sisters and siblings, not all of them are fighting for me. Not all skin folk are kinfolk.
That's a sad reality.
That's a sad reality. And that's painful. But that don't stop me from wanting to support my community, especially the ones who want to liberate themselves from the mental shackles, the ones who want to see me grow, the one who see me succeed, the one who see me beyond what I identify as, what my pronouns are, see me as a human being. We're all hurting, and hurt people. But it's the love that allows us to transcend from that. If I see someone hurting, I don't want you to hurt.
I don't.
I want to make sure you're good. I want to show up for you. I try to show up for those that I see, struggling. If I see someone on the street, I feel like they need a compliment, I'm going to give you a compliment. See you out on the club, you're not dancing with nobody, I'll come dance with you. It's just showing up. And it can be the little things too. What's little to you can go a long way. And so, growing up, not feeling like I received the love that I deserved, being told that because I'm a feminine being and I didn't know what non-binary was, either you're going to be hated by society being a gay Black man at that, or you're going to be hated by society being a Black trans woman. Because what people are telling me is, you're not going to be loved.
It's either or for society. Even the thought of, non-binary people, a lot of people still be like, I don't know what that is. I don't believe in that. That's not a thing. You're either or. I can understand being either or.
Go back to that date I had. That date I had.
Oh, yes, that date was diabolical.
I was misgendered the entire time.
And it's so sad.
It was. But I love myself enough to be like, okay, well, I know what I identify as, so I'm just never going to see you again.
Yeah, because loving through trauma is about patience, tenderness, and care, right? Bell Hooks writes about love is being about care, responsibility, but also accountability. We have to care for one another. We have to be responsible for one another and ourselves and how we show up for each other, right? And also take accountability for when we're wrong.
Apologize when it's time to apologize,
right?
To yourself and to others.
Especially when we were hurt by the world. A lot of times we come in community and we perpetuate these acts of harm because we've been hurt and we haven't done the work to heal. A lot of people are coming to community trying to do good work, but they can't actively do this good work because they're perpetuating all this harm that have been done upon them.
Some people don't know that they're hurt because they're so used to it. But when you surround yourself with a community that loves, they see you. They see you on a deeper level. They hear you, and they're going to speak on it. Hey, you sound like this might be traumatizing. Let's speak on it. How can I help you? How can I make you comfortable? How can I show up for you?
It's kind of hard sometimes when you've been hurt by the world, by the people you love. It can feel impossible sometimes to even show up as your full self or keep loving. But we have Zora Neale Hurston. She reminds us that love makes our soul crawl out from its hiding space. When we've been hurt, our soul, our inner being can feel diminished. Our will to love can be dwindled. And so when we're actively trying to show up for one another and actively showing care, accountability, responsibility, all these things. And we're like actively trying to be in love or like actively love one another, it makes our soul grow. Like there's something that like love is nourishing. Like not only like your skin gonna glow a little better, your face might get a little clearer. Love really transcends so many different things. And when we love each other by holding space for all of it, the joy, the sorrow, the messiness, it's about showing up and staying present even when it's hard. What are the challenges in practicing love within our communities when we face so much violence and harm? Like what challenges have you faced? What challenges have you saw people face also? Like you love, people in community.
I've seen the violence. I've seen the disrespect. I've seen the just lack of knowledge or even wanting to understand, ignorance and arrogance. It hurts to walk around and see how people treat each other, especially when it comes to my fellow Black trans siblings. I see y'all out there. I see y'all doing your big one. You're living your life. You're out here making moves. You're making a pathway for other people. I mean, like Rose's Initiative program, making sure that everybody gets there, gets to where they need to get to. And it hurts when people don't believe in themselves because of what society has said. I just here in Chicago, looking up at the news, it breaks my heart when I see another angel taken away from us, just thrown away, no news. The only people talking about is our community. The only people raising funds, sometimes not even their family that cares. It's a chosen family that's putting up for them. That hurts, but we're still gonna show up. It's just like, shout out to the Black trans woman, first of all, because my rights, your rights, everybody's rights, when it comes to the LGBTQ, we want to be here.
Y'all want to have nothing.
Nothing. Okay, nada.
Y'all want to have big spaghetti. Nothing. Y'all
Literally.
nothing if it
and
wasn't for us.
even putting their lives on the line for us. Remember, it was a trans Black woman who helped me realize who I am. Tell me realize who I the fuck was and to stay in my truth and be like, listen, you're not cis, so stand in your truth.
I was like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? How can I help you?
Yeah, did you figure it out yet, or do you need some help? And it took me being community to figure out for myself. Like I had to be around community for a while to be like, you know what? That doesn't fit me. That kind of does. I don't know what they're doing over there, but it ain't me. But I love you anyway, and I can be community with you, right?
Exactly.
And despite these challenges, we continue to show up for each other, right? This speaks deep to our form of resilience and how much resilience that our community, outside of just being Black and queer and all these things, like as a world,
human beings,
like we're such like a resilient people. And how is love an act of resistance, especially as Black, Indigenous, and non-white people who are trans and non-binary comes to terms? Like, how is that like an act of resistance? Like, loving ourselves and loving each other is an act of resistance. How does that show up for you?
Before he answers your 45 minutes, are you doing your whole hour and a half? I'm going to clip this out, promise.
Okay.
But are you want to go all the way through for your hour and a half?
Yes. So I have
an hour episode and then 30-minute promo. I don't know what you want to do.
Let's do an hour episode, and then we're gonna do like a 30-minute conversation. Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
15 minutes.
Thank you. So read the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is technically already on there, so I'm just going to cut my
Okay.
talking out, and now he can just basically answer. But you ask the question flawlessly.
Okay.
But if you want to ask it again, you can.
Let me
Refresh my memory.
I gotta refresh my memory. I was like, where were we at?
Oh, I remember.
Yes. You got it?
So, yeah, I got it.
Okay, so I gotta find this one.
So, historically, Western civilization, colonization has tried to erase us from history. If you look back, trans folks were seen as spiritual advisors, healers, because we were seen as people who saw outside the binary, seeing the world in a different way, seeing the world for what it is. Because even today, we see the good, the bad, the ugly, and a lot of times it's pointed at us. And so, like you said earlier, resistance, being able to show up as myself, being able to love myself, being able to, despite anything, walk and dress the way I want to dress, express myself the way I want to express, and show up. So so if someone sees me, they may not know who they are, but they see me like, you know what? You just did something for me. You inspired me. And that, to me, helps me show up for myself and for others genuinely, because it can just be one compliment. I don't care about all the other negative comments because I feel good about myself and someone recognizes that. And so just being able to make historical movements like this and programs is what we are doing in order to, like, you know, be there, show up, and just, like, you know, come back to those being those healers that history's tried to erase.
Yeah, shout out to our Mahus, our Fafe Fines, our Palopas, our Two-Spirit folks. Shout out to everyone who has been pushed to the margins due to colonization, right? As we resist, we're also imagining new futures, right? We're imagining all these new things that could come for us, like when we are free. What would a world look like where love is truly at the center of everything we do? Where our liberation is rooted in love? What does that look like? Can you imagine? Even imagine that? Because I feel like we're so far from it right now.
There'd be so much.
We're making strides.
We are making strides. Despite our circumstances, our situations, we are making strides. And but for me, a world centered on love, everything you do, you're making sure it's not only good for you, it's good for the community. And you're asking the right questions. I'm not doing, this is what I think it is. Because love, you don't force love on people.
You can't.
You got to be able to accept it. And if that person doesn't want to accept it, that's okay. Maybe someone will be able to communicate in the way that they can receive. Because that's another thing. People be talking about, oh yeah, I know how to communicate, blah, 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 blah. But if that person's not receiving it, just like if they're not receiving your love, how are they going to learn? How are they going to elevate?
You have to adapt. And when you're a good communicator, you know how to adapt to each situation and adapt to each person. And there's a situation I saw on Instagram yesterday. There was like a butch queen who was like, I hate other gay boys who be like getting really mad when I call them girl, da 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 da, and then like y'all so weird. And I'm like, and they'll be like, oh, I don't talk to y'all like that, da da da. And I'm like, if you must not want to be in community with everybody. Like you must not care, because they're part of your community, and you should be able to respect the fact that they don't want to be called that. The fact
Mutual respect.
that they don't want to be misgendered in that way.
That's just what it is. Don't take it personal.
It's not personal.
It's not. It's simple, I don't want to be called that. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Why am I going to be mad at you because you don't want to be called something?
Yes. I think that really sits on like their own personal biases and internalized things that they have to deal with. Like, you're dealing with something different, babe. And me telling you that I don't want to be called that, even though you feel like, oh, it's no harm. I'm like, okay, cool. I can acknowledge that there was no harm in it. Yeah. But now that I told you that I don't want to be called that, now, like, anytime you call me after that, now it's harmful.
Weird.
I said, now it's harmful, babe.
Yeah, you're being weird. Like, this is what it is.
It's different. In a world where love is at the center of everything, a world without prisons, a world without borders, a world without violence. It's a world where we can take care of one another.
And take care of the earth.
And not only because like we have to, but by choice. Like, because we want to. We want to show up for each other. It's a world where no one is left behind. When we prioritize love, no one will be left behind. There will be no homeless people. Everybody will have a home. Everybody will have food. Everybody will have access to clean water.
That's true community. Showing up for one another.
Yes.
Making sure, because like I said, like we've been saying, you're hurting, I'm hurting. I can't stand when people, I know not everybody got, especially in the economy. Sometimes you don't have money to give to somebody on the streets. But just to blatantly ignore them, it hurts my heart. I make sure I look at you and be like, hey, I see you. I see you as a human being. You know, sometimes I know people be busy. Sometimes you got, got headphones in, whatever. But I would never forget this. Back in Seattle, Seattle has a huge, unfortunate homeless problem. But I remember I was walking downtown. I was on the phone. I was on FaceTime with my friend, like just walking downtown. And this person came up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Like, do you have anything to give? Like, I'm not trying to da da da." I put my phone down and I would say, "Hey, sorry, just give me a second. Let me look through my wallet, see if I got anything." Because I wasn't struggling at that time. I had a great job. And so I only had a $20 bill. And I said, "You know what? I don't need it." I gave them that $20 bill because I knew I was good. And so I gave them that $20 bill. And they said...
Very mindful.
Very cutesy. But they were like... They did say thank you for the money, but that's not something that they were shocked about. They weren't shocked that I gave them a $20 bill. They stopped and they said, "Thank you for acknowledging me and seeing me as a human being." They said, "It's been so long since someone looked at me as a human, and that broke my heart." Because you are a human being. I understand people be busy. I understand people don't always have the time or the energy to do anything. But like I said, it'd be the little things.
I want to see people walk over homeless people.
Walk over?
No, like people they'll be sleeping in the street or like on the sidewalk or something, and like they literally walk over homeless people. Like, to me, that is so ludicrous. Like, would you walk over your grandma? Like, would you walk over your child? Like, I'm confused. Like, people that's somebody's child. That's somebody's uncle,
child,
grandma. Like, that's somebody's loved one.
And I feel like, since we're on the topic of homeless, I feel like a lot of people, they stereotype like you chose to be homeless.
A lot of times when we look at statistics and like even with our interactions, we know a lot of these homeless people have mental illnesses. Which leads them to homelessness, because this world is not set up for people with disabilities. Whether these are physical disabilities, these are mental disabilities, this world is not set up for them. So if people don't have the necessary access to healthcare, as folks do, like they don't have it, right, in America. Like, it's not universal healthcare here. And so they don't have access to mental health providers that can help them with a condition or disability, right? They don't have access to there's not a lot of ADA, like wheelchair accessible places, right? People are not being conscious of folks who have those invisible disabilities, but also those like ones that you can visibly see, like somebody in a wheelchair, somebody walking with a cane. Like, we have to be more mindful of how we're showing up for folks who are able-bodied or folks without disabilities, right?
Because love does not pick and choose in the sense of, oh, you're like this, or you look like this, or you identify as that. I'm good.
Yeah.
Love. I see you.
I see you.
I see you, and I'm here for you. We may think differently, you may look differently, but we have a common goal, and that's just to spread love and spread happiness, spread joy, and spread resistance.
Thank you. Yes. Toni Morrison once said, "If you surrender to the air, you could ride it.
If you surrender to the air, you can ride it."
If you surrender to the air, you can ride it. That's what love could be. Something that carries us all into the future.
There it is.
Hello. And holding onto that vision, we remember those we have fought for, including those we have lost. In honoring those we have lost to violence, how do we carry their love with us in the future for liberation?
Remembrance. One, share these stories. Share these stories. These are people who had lives, who are here. We're all here for a reason. You never know who you're going to meet who's going to impact your life. And so by honoring those folks, because, they may have felt alone, letting them know, in the afterlife or wherever you believe in, that we were always here for you. You may have not felt it, maybe in this situation, and we talked about mental health and whatnot, but we're going to remember you. We're going to try our best to show up for you. And sometimes that's like trying to have for a lot of our fallen angels out there, we've had candlelit vigils. We've talked about it in programs, organizations, and whatnot. Because, like I said, there's not a lot of news coverage about us being killed. Because the world doesn't care.
Yeah.
So like showing up before we're here, after we're here, and during we're here is important because this is generational.
It is.
We want to let people know that we'll always be there for you. You can find community, and we will show up for you. Just gotta reach out.
You do. I like to add as we close that, like all holidays like these, like Transgender Day of Remembrance is like what's one of the days that you can like memorize or like have a moment to commemorate the ones that we have lost. But I carry them with me every day.
Every day.
Like we have lost people. We have like our Monica Roberts. Like the reason why trans folks even have like somewhat accurate discussion in the media is because a lovely woman named Monica Roberts, who I think passed away a year or two ago. I think 2022 she passed away. She's the reason why she fought for us to be accurately in the media. Because a lot of times we didn't know that our siblings were dying because they were like he, and her name was Rebecca, and they're using their birth name. Like we even had like a fallen angel recently who passed away due to violence, and their parents, had their funeral. It was open casket. They dressed them down. They put them in a suit. They talked them by their tombstone has their dead name. Like they reverted them back to where they once have came.
That's not, and I want to let you know.
That's not love.
That's not love.
That's not love.
That's not love.
I want to know about it. What's the real reaction?
It's painful to
Very.
because like I have moments of like I'm like I know like I have people like because like I have a living will, and I think I employ all trans folks to get a living will, so these things can't happen. Transgender Law Center, which is a center I work for, which is under the Roses program. They help people with living wills. We have like different nonprofits who also do that. I can't name them right at the moment. I'm sorry, but like
They're there though.
Google's your friend, babe. But like just know like there's things out there where like you can have a living will, so these things don't happen. Entrusting somebody as a power of attorney for you when you can't have something for yourself. Like I'm currently my mother's power of attorney. I'm currently my older brother's power of attorney. They are both incarcerated. Right, my mom has 14 months. My brother has a year and a half left. Right, he's been in jail for 15 years. Me and my sisters are the only ones in our family who have not been incarcerated. So my family, my whole life has been impacted by incarceration. My grandma, who just died last year,
Rest in peace,
was up for trial for to be incarcerated. The only reason they didn't book her is because she was on her deathbed. Right, systemically, my family has been impacted by.
First of all, round of
incarceration
applause
system
for breaking cycles because
we
got top. That's love, loving yourself enough to be. I want better.
Yes, I always say if jail allowed good makeup and lace front wigs, I would have been there by now. But I refuse to look crazy every day. I refuse to not feel myself. To not feel beautiful. And in jail, those things, they strip you of beauty. They strip you of the basic necessities.
Your dignity.
My mom, it took her 2 weeks to get deodorant. It took her 2 weeks to get soap. She had to walk around dirty and as a woman.
And you think they will provide the basic necessities?
They don't.
That's not love. That's seeing you as a number.
As a very base. Of course, my mom. To the state, and my brother are like reflected by their DOC number. They don't call you by your name; they call you by your DOC number. My brother 34721. That's what they call
diabolical.
It. Report to duty, babe. 34721. That's you. Report to duty.
They would hate me. I'd be like, I don't know who y'all talking about.
If somebody said that number, he probably would take them back to that moment.
It would like the fact that like I memorized their numbers. Every time they go to jail, it's the same number. So like they're in the system. And so when we talk about things, like we have to continue like this journey of love and liberation. How do we commit ourselves to loving one another? How do we commit each other in our communities? I think that's what I'm gonna leave you out with. And I want to say thank you so much to everyone for being here and engaging in this important conversation between Ermias and I. These are the tough times and the weight that we have to carry of everything when we're acting and facing all of these different disparities, all these different oppressions, all these different systems that plague us today, that plague our communities. Drugs, violence, the isms, the plural of isms. So many isms. Oh my gosh. But like, it can be overwhelming at times.
Very.
But in these moments that we're in, right, we believe in the power of self-care and community. So before we continue, we're going to take a breath, like a little breather break, right? So we invite you to join us in taking this deep breath as a collective breath, because we're in it together, right? We're going to inhale together, exhale together, and just take a moment to be present with one another. Thank you. Now, passing it over to Corinne to lead us through this groundbreaking movement work, so just we can be take a little more time to be in it with each other.
Hey everyone, my name is Phoenix Gale, and I am so honored to be here with you all today on this day of remembrance. Before we get started on this journey, we just want to take some time just to honor ourselves, to see if we need something, to check in with ourselves, and also to take some collective breaths together, because today may be a hard day, may be a day of mixed emotions, and this may bring up a lot of different mixed emotions. We just want to make sure that we are honoring ourselves in this time. So I'm going to ask that we breathe in, we hold it, then exhale, and then hold it, and then we will repeat the process over. Let's begin. So I want everybody in this moment just to begin to focus on your breath. See if you are breathing in shallow, seeing if you need to take in deeper breaths. Just recognize your pattern of breathing. And now on the count of 3, I want to begin with just an inhale, and then 1, 2, 3. Inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it, inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it, inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it, inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it. One last time, inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it. Okay. And also in this moment, I want you to be able to love on yourselves. So I want you to just give yourself a hug. I know it may feel weird. You're like, why am I hugging myself? Give yourself a hug. Give yourself a big old hug, and I want you to say out loud, I love you. I ain't hear you. You need to say it a little bit louder. Say it one more time. I'm going to do it with you, okay? I love you. That felt really, really good. Thank y'all for breathing with me and checking in with me and just loving on ourselves in this time. Check out later.
Thank you all for joining us in this grounding exercise. Thank you, Corinne, for leading it. TK, it's important to support it's important to make a moment, right? Take a moment for ourselves. It's important for us to ground ourselves in our feelings, a little more centered at moments. A lot of times when we're facing times of grief, and like we're in society, we have to keep going.
Show yourself grace.
So
but
yourself grace.
Don't stay stagnant.
And take time to ground yourself. Take time to have mindfulness, groundingness, like to be in your body.
Exactly. It's okay to sit in those emotions.
Hello.
But don't let it stop you from growing. Don't let it stop you from experiencing.
Now, let's take a moment of remembrance together this year as we have lost too many to violence, lost too many to folks unaliving themselves, and really taking a look at each of these folks. And I implore you to take your own time to like look into each of their stories and their lives and what you can come of it. Not everything is going to be accurate, because we still have to this day, even though thanks to Monica Roberts, we have to have folks being misgendered. And so there's folks, because not every city is going to be liberal. Not every city is going to be progressive. We have people living in small towns who are being unalived. We even outside the trans community, we had that young boy in Asheville, North Carolina, who was from Chicago, the trucker who was hung. He was lynched like a month or two ago, right? He's from Chicago, but he was a trucker, and it happened in Asheville, North Carolina. Or no, not Asheville, North Carolina. It was like, it was a city nearby Asheville. It was like 20 minutes out.
Crazy.
And the gag is, I was supposed to go to Asheville, North Carolina for a retreat 2 weeks after that. And not thankfully, a hurricane happened that devastated. So not thankful. Hurricane, I think Helene or something like that. I think her name was, devastated the East Coast, Southeast Coast, and there's another hurricane that hit Miami, and so I really hope those who are still there, giving the resources that they need, that those people find those resources. That there's a lot of initiatives and community things and
very important
mutual
to rely on
aid that's
community.
happening over there. So I really want to uplift those things and make sure that the folks get what they need. People deserve, at the very least, to have their basics. Their food, their housing, their medical, all taken care of. Clean water.
Clean water.
So they may wash themselves, so they can feel human.
Exactly.
So thank you for these moments. And I want to say thank you for being with us in these moments of remembrance. And I hope y'all take the time for yourselves to ground yourselves, to be with your loved ones, like uplift, really taking time for everybody else, right? And I leave y'all with that.
Before we close out, I want to say, after, before, every day, whatever, I want y'all to look in the mirror and y'all do your affirmations. Y'all tell yourselves, I love myself. Y'all tell yourselves, I am worthy and I succeed in life. Not I want, I need, I am. Because you deserve, it's your birthright. All right, like we've been saying, our ancestors didn't do what they did just for you to stay stuck.
I didn't come this far just to come this far.
Okay. So remember that. You are always loved and there's always community out
I'm
there
leaving
for
this
you.
world with something.
Amen.
Okay.
Ashe.
And on that, I release y'all to the universe.